Welcome back to Fighters Drinking Coffee, guys. So we're just gonna get into it.
Get into it.
So for today's episode, I figured we would talk about creativity and self-expression in jiu-jitsu. Kind of like how that can help you with learning, competition, like all of it, right? Like just it's a liken, jiu-jitsu is a liken to an art form a lot. And like a big part of art is self-expression, creativity, all of that. So I figure we kind of go down that pathway and, we explore that. I mean, I think that would be kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
It's also something I've been thinking about, is like the part outside of just like doing specific moves and stuff like that, just being creative in my jujitsu as well, and just trying to kind of be more explorative and all of that. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about it, kind of work through some things on it as well. Sure. So so I guess like a question to start off, or kind of a framing for it. It was something that kind of popped up through like the like CLA space.
I was thinking about it too.
Yeah. Because I
have thoughts on it.
Yeah, like that like exploration of position and like movement through areas of jiu-jitsu. Like that's kind of where that thought process came up for me. Was like, you watch games for CLA and like all of that stuff, and when you're doing games, right? Like you kind of have the ability to freestyle and just come up with new solutions. And so like I've been trying to focus on that. Like I'm out of season right now, at least for a couple more weeks before I have to start another camp. But like for the rest of this month, I'm just kind of trying to enjoy jiu-jitsu. We were talking about that the other day when we were training too. Like, all right, let's just kind of like have fun with it. And it was cool. Like even in that session, it led to a cool new drill that I'm going to test run tomorrow. Last Friday when this drops.
Tomorrow for you.
Tomorrow for me in real time.
Yeah.
But so like I was just kind of trying to think of that. I don't know, like
I have a lot to say. Yeah.
Excellent.
Don't worry, buddy.
Oh, I know you always have something to say.
Dude, I've said this thing before. And I like coming up with phrases and stuff. And so this one's like a bit of a work in progress, but I think it applies to what we're talking about, dude. Which is that I don't listen to jazz, but I've heard people say that like jazz is like listening in between the notes or whatever, in between the however that shit works.
I use the jazz analogy for jiu-jitsu all the time.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like the jiu-jitsu takes place in between the moves, so to speak. I think so. When you were like texting me about this thread, I'm like, this is a great thread. We could talk about this for a while. So we'll get some content out of it, homie. But yeah, like my stance or my view on this is that, as you've indicated, and with, I guess, this analogy, this jazz analogy, and dude, like when you prompted it, like you brought up CLA in the games, I'm like, yeah, I think that's why that's such a useful training device that, Greg has gotten credit for, and like people who are using that or have historically used that version of training get a lot of value out of. I know we have in our training and using that framework or whatever, but it's really, I think that works well because you can demo an armbar, you can demo a guard pass, you can demo all of these things, but it's like your ability to connect and kind of apply them within the range of movement that you as the individual applying this and playing this game or sport or art of jiu-jitsu, like you get to connect these things and actually apply them. And like this is why CLA makes sense. Like showing disparate moves, I don't think it has no value in my opinion, but we've just done that as like a training mechanism historically to get people to like, all right, now go out and apply it, because like all of those disparate moves that you show have to be like set up and then delivered And that's really where it's like the connectivity, the connective tissue between all of the things that you want a person to do. Like by the time if you're watching like a match or whatever and you see a guy get to an armbar or something, just whatever, an armbar as the example, he's done most of his work already. All the skill set was really in getting to it, not the finishing of the armbar. The highlight that you'll see is also awesome, and it's not like the jiu-jitsu stopped there. But most of the work, all like the really impressive things, was how that dude moved his way into this position where, and follow me on this example, like this guy's about to win because of the way he expressed and kind of pressured and passed and worked his way into this compromising position.
Well, I think it's also, it's tough to explain to somebody like how to move their body when you don't have it, right? Like how to move their body through all a million different scenarios to get to that position, right? Like that is a hard thing to teach, regardless of how good of a, teacher or coach you are. Like it's just, there's too many then you're just going to go down the what if rabbit hole, right? But the thing that CLA does well is create, and they always use they use the terminology of like novelty, right? Like giving them something, creating novelty so that people can, because that's what people enjoy and can learn from, which would be the games. But like, creating, just forcing them into like, all right, you're going to start here. This is what you're trying to do, and just letting it all happen. But like, you kind of just have to, there's an amount of coaching and instruction, but like, they have to experience some of that. Like you can't force that, because then it still isn't real, right? Like if you force that in between,
it's tough to teach the in between. That's the hard part about what we do, and which I think is why, as you said, the CLA format is really useful for people to kind of figure that out themselves. And no two people move the exact same way. You'll see people who have like very similar like athletic profiles and stuff, and that's great, where you can get that similarity between athletes and practitioners or whatever. But as you said, they have to fill in the gaps, and so like giving them a confines of a game format to do so works really well. Because dude, imagine having to like walk through every possible movement with a person. Like I've probably done that in like the many years that I've taught. And maybe it's worked a little bit. It's probably not worked zero. Like it's probably worked somewhat, but that's hard.
Yeah.
And it's like a really long way to explain. So I think the concept behind like that games/CLA teaching style is meant to like speed up the process for the person to sort of learn for themselves and fill in those gaps in between the notes. Jazz concept. Like, yeah, we're going to toss you into this scenario, and like I'm certain, because I know this works when I've done it, it works. But I'm betting the other coaches, and I always like I give Greg credit for it just because he's the guy who came out and really talked about it a lot. He was not the first person to do it, but like I think we give him credit. I think he deserves it.
Well, and he's the one that's trying to educate people on
why he does what he does,
and like he has a lot of proof cases, and
for sure.
So he's a good person to credit.
No, totally. No. But anyways, I just I'll call him out and like give him credit for that when we talk about it. But what I like about that formatting too, and like a good drill, I call them drills still. This drill. I don't know. It's like a lowercase d drill. Like anything you work on can be a drill, but whatever. Anyways, so if it's a drill, like a good drill will have a good game, to use their language, I suppose, will be like a use case for a person to extract, like, not just like the tactical things we're discussing of pulling off like a closing, delivering on a move, or whatever the theme of the game that you've set up is. Like, let's just say it's like half guard knee shield. We want to go chest to chest. That's actually one we've done before.
Yeah.
Anyways, like if you're like, yo, you just basically your job for the next couple minutes is just to try to like with resistance, try to close the distance and smush your chest to their chest. If that's what you're going to do. And I just using it as an example of like, this is your deliverable, and you give them like a start like relatively around this position and then go from here and try to bridge that gap. In doing that, if the person does that enough times, trains enough times, and they get the value out of it, they'll pick up those tactical, small but really impactful things. But the small and impactful things should reveal to them bigger strategic or like structural philosophical principles that they'll, I guess my way of saying, if you like take that one small thing and have a person do it enough times, they can get maximum value out of it. This could take months or years. So I like doing the same drills over and over and over again. I've always been a fan of that. I've always been a fan of like bringing a person back to the same thing for a while. I mean, you structure a training session in weeks and months and years over time. Like, I'm not saying this is the only thing they're going to do, but like you have a lot of time to work with, and you get a person, doing certain things repeatedly, like they'll continue to get more out of it. Cause like most people, if you give them 5 minutes to do a thing, that's not enough. Anyways, my reason for bringing this up is because if like me and you do that knee shield drill over and over and over again, like the first time we do it, we'll pick up a couple things. We might get 2% of the value out of that. That's actually a lot if you do it one time, 5 minutes. But as time goes on, like you'll continue to draw from that repetition of that game to say, well, man, me and Mike have done this enough times now. What I've really learned from this is the principle of like distance and timing and leverage and this and that. Words we hear all the time in jiu-jitsu, but I always say like words like that, like at least for me, because maybe I'm a dum-dum. Like when I first started doing it, like I would hear people say that type of shit, like leverage. And I'm like, what the fuck are you mean when you say leverage? Like what is it? I just didn't, my framework for like understanding it in this environment wasn't developed. But like as time went on, I'm like, yeah, no, I kind of get what you're saying. And so like you need like that, like simple but valuable limitation exercise to help you gain those things. Cause like once you get, let's just say let's use that example, continue with that example. Pardon me not understanding as like like a white belt, blue belt or whatever, purple belt maybe, what leverage really meant. It's kind of a limitation in jiu-jitsu because leverage is fucking everything, right? It's about almost everything that we do involves like understanding capital L leverage and lowercase L leverage. Like leverage can be used in lots of words. Like that word has a lot of layers to it.
Well, and like, it's like you're saying, like it's one of those things, like the buzzwords that are getting thrown out, but until you really feel it and apply it for the first time, you don't understand the concept because, you think you know what leverage is, you can pull it up in the dictionary, but like how it applies to like person to person is vastly different. And like, I'm going to try not to like visualize stuff, like force people to visualize things. Yeah. But like, like you don't really know it until, like if you're doing a John Wayne sweep, I'm going to force you guys to visualize things. But like, that's all like that little tiny lever, like it's a hip lever. And so that you don't really know until you hit it the first time, or like I explained to other people, I like to use the example of, cause I'm claiming it as my signature move now, but the dorsal Kimura, right? Like everyone always complains about breaking that grip. And I'm like, you'll know the first time you feel that grip break and you can free that arm, like free their arm out, you'll know. Like once you feel that they don't have a grip anymore, like you just feel it. Like you just know that first time you feel it, you're like, oh, this arm's mine now. Like they no longer are able to stop me. And so, there's just that, like, you just don't know until you experience it for the first time. And so, a lot of those buzzwords are like that. A lot of like the jiu-jitsu buzzwords that they use, like you can say them to people all the time, like, yeah, use your leverage. And like, you don't know until you know. It's just, it's one of those things. And so like you're saying, playing those games and forcing people to experience jiu-jitsu creates that. And so like,
it's eye-opening too.
Yeah.
Like you said, to your point, like it sounds trite because we say this shit all the time. And maybe because we've been doing this long enough that we actually do have an understanding of it. But like when you're early on, you might be like, all right, I hear this stuff. What? Okay, I'm going to practice. I'm just going to go with it. But once you get that, once the eyes open to that, you're like, oh man, well, dude, now that and this is what I was trying to get across earlier, which was that like once that one training drill, one game gets you to that, like, oh yeah, all right. Well, dude, that's kind of what I'm trying to do when I'm in a different scenario, and you're, as you're a coach or instructor, you're like, yeah, there you go. So anyways,
I also find from a coaching standpoint, when I have students like playing these games and stuff like that, or going through drills that specific drills for positional and like actual goals that they're trying to attain, you find a lot of cool teaching moments too, because like they're doing the things that their body they want to do. And so you can actually kind of get those specific, in the concept like creativity and self-expression, they're doing the things that they feel is right or they feel like is the way to go. And you can actually you might find new pathways because you're seeing 20 different people do something and they're all doing it a slightly different way because their bodies move differently or whatever. But they also kind of create those key details themselves that you get to, oh yeah, no, like this was the point. This is the point that you need to make that decision or whatever. So, there's a lot of cool little points of like those light bulb moments that people will have or those teaching moments that pop up because they're doing these things in like a controlled but live scenario. It's so just from like that self-expression.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll stop cutting you off now.
No, it's okay. Like we also might engineer a drill or a game with an idea in our head. This is one of the things to your point on creativity, and it's sort of like why this is an art form, because there's depth to all of the things. There's so much depth in this martial art that we might go into it thinking, all right, well, let's do this game, and here's why we want to do it. We have this one reason, this one thing we want them to learn, but there might be like 50. There's definitely 50 other things. So they might. What I'm trying to get across here is that, like, on the theme of creativity and like in art, like it is an individual thing. I think we kind of talked about it at the very beginning, which is that, like, I guess my way of getting to this is that, like, we might set up this drill and say, I want Mike to understand pressure with that knee shield half guard. I want him to drive through and smush my chest. Dude, that guy could probably do that. And say this individual, this student X, could be playing the game and kind of doing that, but they might see something completely different as they're doing it. It just might not get what we wanted out of it. Might not be what they get, but they may get like 2 to 3 other really useful things out of it too, because it is an individual thing. I might say, hey, Mike, I really want you to pay attention to pressure. That dude might just walk away and be like, fuck, man. It wasn't really the pressure that I got out of it. It was kind of like keying in on range. And granted, again, this is all a matter, eye of the beholder. It's all like perspective to think about. And so what I would say, I guess, like maybe a call to action for us as coaches is to try to like keep things, and this is certainly a creativity / like frame of mind thing for folks who are practicing and or instructing or doing both, which is that like we should keep an open mind and just like you give people the tools and the keys, and again, games, CLA stuff. It's like you give them environments where they can learn things, and it's like if they might walk away with 5 things and none of them are what we wanted them to learn, but like still they got 5 things out of it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and
it's
like,
really good.
That's at least from I don't understand it as well as others might, but like that's a little bit of the risk, but I think that's something that you have to understand going into it. Like I think that's a lot of the resistance. It's just turning into a CLA episode, but that's fine. But like I think that's a lot of the resistance that people have because they want people to just get what they're trying to push on them, but like that's not possible when you put people in live scenarios, right? Like things just happen when both people, like, you always say the other person has a say, right?
Vote,
like the other person has a vote. So,
I had a feeling it was going to come out.
Yeah, it's going to drop. But so, like the other person has a vote. So like if you give both people a goal and they're both trying to accomplish it, like you can't force them to do, like
100%.
They're going to both self-expression. I'm going to use buzzwords, like they're going to create whatever scenarios allow them to get to their goal. And so it's very difficult to tell them, oh, well, you have to learn this concept. You have to understand that there's multiple concepts in that scenario. They're going to pick up one of them, like you're saying. But just to kind of like frame that from like both people are doing some form of expression of what they're trying to, of jiu-jitsu to try to accomplish their goal. Yeah, you can only control that. You can only, the constraints are what create the control, but like you can't try to then like over control it and be like,
that's
be
the
like,
challenge.
No, you're only allowed to do pressure.
Learn this one thing when there's like 5 other things. It's like being at a buffet and then you can only have that one item on the buffet. Like, well, or it'd be like if we go to the buffet and we're like, what's really good on that buffet? The picanha is awesome on the buffet. And they're like, well, I mean, I took a bite of it, but I actually ended up eating all this other shit. Still a buffet. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that applies.
Brazilian steakhouse. The picanha comes around one time.
But I like that cheesy bread stuff, man. That was awesome. Anyways,
filled up.
But yeah, dude, you're right. I mean, I think that's sort of the challenge and the role of the coach is like And yeah, just have an open mind. Look, at the end of the day, like I guess my thought process and all of that is like just this goes back to that thing I've said a bunch of times. As long as people keep showing up, the frequency is there. They'll pick up. They'll end up eating all the items in the buffet. Just keep showing up to the buffet.
Yeah,
keep munching. Right.
it's a cruise ship. You can try everything throughout the whole week.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. You'll circulate through all of it, and you'll just keep showing up. You got to eat. You got to train. But yeah, to your point, like as the coach, I think it's also like at that point, like, well, like imagine showing up in a training room, and there are a lot of coaches who will do this. There's a lot of like definitely like top down, like do it like this. Do it like this. I think maybe sometimes that's okay. Like, no, I need you guys to like it. That would be useful if you're having like a really informed conversation with a student that needs to develop. Like, imagine like after a comp season, I'm like, Mike, you got to do this one thing.
Yeah,
just for me, even just for like a month or a couple weeks, a couple days out of the month. Really key on this one thing. That's an informed conversation with a coach, right? Versus, and this kind of goes back to I think what you're saying earlier about like, hey, this is a good like reset type of time too, to be like, maybe I don't have to do everything so rigidly at the moment. The rigidity is I think the point here, which is that like this kind of depends on the student and like what the student and the coach and the dynamic there and the goal and what they're working on. But like this stuff, training should be fun. I think I'd sent you that. I sent a few folks, and you were one of them, who got like that little Q&A sheet for 2026. And at the bottom of it, I think I put down like, how will we keep this fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like it should still be fun. Like you should have, I think even like perhaps even more important, for like a competitive athlete, because of what I said earlier about like keep showing up, just keep being consistent on the mat. Like everything shouldn't be so formulaic, because that gets a little boring, dude. Like it's good to have like a little bit of embedded like wiggle room time. Like you're just gonna roll. I'll often like tell folks who are newer competitors or mid-tier competitors, it doesn't matter, whatever, just competitors in general, that like, when you're on the mat throughout the week and you have like however many hours or however many rounds by the end of, let's say it's 50 sparring rounds a week or whatever, just say 50. And if you're competing pretty soon, all right, like a good amount of those 50 rounds should be rounds that will replicate how you want to compete. Meaning, like go into that round and try to win it. But let's like I've offered like for like new folks who maybe aren't like full on competitors, they want to compete for the first time. I always tell them like just go 50-50, alternate it. Comp round, flow, fun round. Comp round, flow round. Example would be like if we're all always redefining our game in quotes for a tournament. When you go into game mode in a tournament, like you're going to play your game. You're going to play like a game plan. You're going to review, like I'm going to take him down on a passer guard. I'm going to submit him from back mount. Like that's my game plan. So like we'll go in trying to limit what the other person does. We're basically imposing our limits on that other person. Like this is where I want the fight to be, and this is how I'm going to do it. So if you have like a comp round, you might just do that over and over and over again, just to continue to refine that, get better and better and better, while the other person, as we discussed already, gets their vote. They're trying to stop you, right? But really that's all you're doing, potentially. I'm just using an example. Lots of people have, I'm sure I could ask like 5 different like high level black belt coaches. They might all have different ways of doing that, but like, I think you get what I'm saying. All right, well, like if we only, I mean, I've done this. You've probably done this. Like I've gone through bouts of time where like I just like all my training's been like train to win. Fine for a little while, but like mix that in with like, all right, like I said, this is just something I've done, and I'll just make the recommendation to people where I'm like, yo, you got like an open mat session, split it 50-50. You maybe even have some fun with it. If like you're like, hey, I just had a 5-win bracket to get to gold. So like if I've got 10 rounds on a open mat, half of those I can just like simulate, tell myself I'm like, I gotta win 5 back-to-back matches in my 5 rounds of my open mat to like get my gold medal. And then once I've done my gold medal, then I'll be like, all right, 5 rounds will just be for fun now.
Yeah.
I'll still try to win them, or I'll do something different. I'll do like B game shit, C game shit. Maybe I'll let the other dude kind of smash and pass my guard, and then I'll just play defense. I think you get what I'm saying, right? We're just kind of like, some rounds I'm like, oh, I'm going to be really competitive. I'm giving up no points. I'm going to submit this dude as many times as possible. Other rounds I'll be like, all right, cool. Like that really was effective for my offense. Let's do something different. Let's do defense. Maybe I'll like help out a teammate. Maybe me and Mike are going, or me or whoever going. I'm like, dude, do your thing now, and then I'll respond to it. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. A way to like work the
that was
the
all
fun
that
in
theme
and
of
like
rigidity.
experiment.
Like don't be so rigid all the time, especially like when you get really good too. Like if you can constantly just beat the shit out of everyone, like cool, man, that's great. But
you gotta find a way to
change the
like
game up, change the
experiment
training,
and find new things, because like otherwise you're just beating people and it gets boring.
Well, and
You know,
that's like that can be long term. That could also be detrimental to you too.
yeah, because then you just do the same thing over and over again, and
you gotta see some different.
yeah,
Just that's
like,
the word, I think.
One thing I've been what I think I'm gonna do this year, as a way to like keep things interesting and like keep that creative outlet open while in season, is like I'm gonna try to pick, like, leading up to each comp, I'm gonna try to pick one thing. Like, all right, I'm gonna add this to my game. So like I can just try to like have some way of experimenting and, adding something new, especially like this, I'm not going to go into that, but like as a way to like have some way to create something. Cause I mean, I tell people all the time, kind of back on the jazz thing, like I do like 2 moves and everything in the middle is just jazz. That's how I always tell people that. Cause like, it's like, yeah, I have like the guard pass I do, and then stuff happens, and then I end up in the position I submit people from. And like, that's jujitsu. But like, so like that way there's, oh, well, now instead of going to my Kimura setup, I'm going to try to, or I'm going to try to get there this way instead. I'm going to add this thing in, or I want to start doing mount more. Like, just try to come up with some sort of thing that I want to add, like, creating a goal so that there's something to
like a new
work towards.
You want to add it. You want to make it ready for game day.
Yeah, like rather than just doing the same thing over and over again, and like, all right, we're just trying to get in shape for a comp, right? Like,
yeah,
at some point it just turns into that if you keep it too rigid. So, that way have some sort of like creative outlet for each one, and like, it gives me a way to still like have that self-expression, like during rolling and practices and stuff like that. Like, I have something that I'm working on and like kind of playing with, so that it gives me something to do in that other 50%.
Yeah.
Right. So,
well, it keeps training from getting stale.
Yeah.
Because if, like you said, if you just did the 2 bookends of the world, like your goals for like how you beat everyone, like I pass their guard, I wait, and then I grab their arm and I rip it off. I'm not saying that's what you do, but like if it was, all right, like you could keep doing that, but like why not also add another thing? So that prior framework might get kind of boring to you. Like you just get to where you could do it all the time. And
sometimes I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't.
But I mean, like it gets repetitive.
Yeah.
You're like, can you just give me something else?
Like how about like, I'll give you an example. Like I'm at like a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. I decided, I was like, dude, like I've been crap at mount. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu who's competed a bunch of times. I'm like, my mount's kind of shitty, dude. And so I decided, I was like, when and where I can. And I went out of my way to do it. I made it a goal to say, I'm going to get more riding time mount to where I can smash people in mount. Like my mount was fucked up. It's like the second best position in jiu-jitsu. Why am I so bad at this? It's supposed to be good. I suck at this. So anyways, I just went there. I spent time there.
Yeah. It's like what we were talking, like you don't really, unless you sit there and just try to hold mount, you don't figure out how to hold mount, right? Like,
well, you said it. Like, you just said it. Like, I knew why I was bad at mount. I was like, well, I'm not even really doing it that much. That's why I'm not good at it. It was relatively simple, insofar as like the logic behind it was like totally valid. It was like, duh, well, I'm always doing this other shit. That other shit works, but like it's one thing that I should be able to do. I'm not doing it. So like, all right. So I spent some time in mount. And then in 2025, I was able to use mount and submit people from mount in tournaments. So like, all right, right on. The work paid off. And I just made it an objective to spend time doing something I know is valuable. And I put in enough time to be able to apply it when I needed it. So yeah, like otherwise, like it just gets stale, man. And then like we as competitors become stale and we become predictable. So like, yeah, like
and people can watch your tape and every single tape looks exactly the same.
Me and you have talked about off camera, even before this, like you're going to run into some of the same guys here pretty soon, right? Like, our divisions are like, anyone can show up to, but it's also like, there's going to be some familiar names. And so people all know each other, right? So like, how can we stay just a little bit unpredictable? And so, yeah, dude, it's like, if you don't adapt, you will die. So like, we got to adapt a little bit. And like, this is kind of like the fun thing about, like you talked about the self-expression, this art form is always evolving, whether you are participating in that in evolution or not. And if you go out and compete, you'll be exposed, or you'll at least see other people be exposed. And so, like, we actually have to hold ourselves accountable to continue to, like, at least take in the data. Like, so taking the data and say, man, do I, like, other people are doing this. I'm seeing some things happen. Like, do I need to do that too? All right, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I should at least kind of experiment and play around with it and figure that out. So I think it's like you have to impose that discipline and accountability in yourself to always be reassessing what you do and how you do it. And you still may be able to pull off this, like, I mean, you talked about, like, there are guys, like, really high level guys who I've trained with for years, even to this day, who kind of still do the same 4 or 5 things, and it still works.
Oh yeah.
And that's cool for them, man, because, like, it hasn't stopped working yet because they're just that good at it. And that's great. But for those of us who are less gifted, like, the limitations of, like, our abilities when we go out in these tournaments or in the training room, we're like, oh crap, man, like, well, that might work really, but this dude seems to be able to figure out how to do 4 things, and that's all he needs to do. And credit to him, but, like, unfortunately, for better or worse, I'm not that guy. And this was going back to, like, what we talked about with RJ months ago about the adaptation thing, where he's constantly, like, auditing. He's like, fuck, I can't do X, Y, and Z. So his ability to, like, take in data and adapt and make a change. That's why I was, like, kind of like, I was, like, creaming my jeans when talking about how, like, useful of a skill that is, because it is. It's a really cool skill. I think that's a more valuable skill than just being, like, kind of an immovable object when you're out there, because, like, eventually someone will expose those dudes that I'm talking about who can do the 4 things. Eventually they'll run into that level of competition and talent that, like, if they're not accustomed to the exercise of having to adapt, they might struggle, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's
happens all the time.
I was talking with someone about that, not specifically with jiu-jitsu, but just, like, we were talking about Bo Nickel.
Okay.
Because, he had lost that UFC fight and, like, kind of fell off for a second there and, like, went back to RAF, went back to wrestling. And I was telling John, about this, and I was like, yeah, like, I was kind of worried that, not worried, but, like, I kind of expected him to not go back to the UFC because he was that guy that was always so good at what he was doing. He was an amazing wrestler. He went into international competition, but, like, once he hit that first roadblock in international competition for wrestling, he dropped out and went to the UFC. And I was like, I kind of expected, because he was so used to being the best, that once he hit that time where he realized he wasn't the best, I kind of expected him to drop out. But at the same time, I was glad to see he came back. Like,
too.
But so, like, that's the thing you have to worry about, right? Like, with those guys that are, if you don't have the ability to adapt, or you're, once your thing isn't working, you just think you're done. That's kind of
it's like the classic talent
Yeah.
versus hard work, fucking paradigm or whatever, where it's like these really talented dudes, they're not used to having to work as hard.
Yeah, like once
everything works for them. What do you do when something stops working?
Like, but this always works, and now it doesn't work. I guess it's just
I quit.
This sport's stupid now.
Yeah.
Or this thing's dumb. But like that was.
But I get what you're asking for sure.
Yeah,
that does happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that happens with. They're like, those guys that are unwilling to adapt are always just going to fall to the wayside. And once their thing stops working, they're just out of it, and they're because they just don't want to put in the effort of adapting to it, or just don't have that skill of adapting, like you're saying.
Woe to the unadaptable.
But I'll move it back to, I'll shift it back because I had a point on the fun thing, or just an example.
Yeah.
So as a way to, like, force fun,
force it, have fun.
Have fun, damn it.
Smile.
But and those of you who are listening, you probably are going to be playing. Those who come to my class on Tuesday mornings, if you listen to this on your drive, you'll be playing this right afterwards.
You should make it required. You should make it.
You will have fun.
Otherwise, it won't get promoted.
But so
no, not the fun. They have to listen to the show.
No, they just you must listen to the show,
which is fun.
Yeah, we have fun here.
Damn it.
Yeah, I will not recommend you for stripes if you don't listen to my podcast.
You need like I told this to Asim this week too. You need to put up like a picture. Jason he probably won't let you do this, but put up a picture of yourself like Kim Jong-un, be like, dear leader. Like, you have to they have to Michael,
like the Craig Jones.
Yeah, I love that
Craig Jones picture. I think that's so funny, dude.
Salute to dear leader, kiss, like, bow to my feet and like, worship me. Make them do that.
eh,
All right.
it
Just,
might be a little much for me.
it's just an idea, but anyways.
But but outside of the worshiping me, don't. But so we play this game in the mornings. I'm bringing it back. We used to play it with the other morning coach. So we have flashcards that have like one move on it. So it's either one submission or like one, or like I even have some where it's just like just stall on top.
Awesome.
So like there's a bunch of different ones. Your partner or your partner for each round doesn't know what you have. So you have one. I want to add an adaptation, but I'll get to it after the description. You each have a move. So it's a game. That's
a game.
It's
man.
more broad than it's not quite as constrained as CLA because it's just a live round.
This is a lowercase G game.
Yeah,
this is an action, just a game for not like we're not putting on a hat for CLA. This is just
CLA
a game.
would
game is a
totally poo-poo this.
Maybe they wouldn't. They might, because I think it is fun. Continue,
but it's fun. This is a fun game.
Yeah.
This is a game for fun, not specific. Like there's a
I get it.
a learning aspect to it, but this is just something to play. But so like you each have your secret move, and that's the only thing that you're trying to accomplish, regardless of, like where you are, you have to find a way to get to this thing and do it, right? So it's edging on CLA, but it's not quite constrained enough. It's just a live round, and like, I want to do this. It's more like training for competition where it's like, I need to do this one thing. This is the only thing I can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so, you might have like armbar but your partner has hold mount, and you're trying to hit armbars, and you have to figure out how to get to an armbar, right? Like, but they're on top of you. So, like there's all these different ones. I have it to the point where some of them are super specific, where it's like you have to armbar somebody from back control to
it's crazy specific,
very broad. Like, I have some that are just past the guard, or some are just wild card, do whatever you want, right? So it's a way for like people to have a goal to work towards in the rounds, and like take rolling and make it instructional and educational in a very specific way versus just like free flow.
Whatever happens
happens. But it does give people, it still gives people that like creative outlet, because now you're trying to figure out you're trying to create the scenario that you need to get to from wherever you are. The other person still has something they're trying to do to you. So it's not, like you just pass the guard, go to this, do the move. Like they're trying to do something completely different from you. They might have a similar move too, which is even harder. If you both have armbar, you're both trying to hit armbars.
Someone might get armbarred.
That can be trickier too, because you're both trying to be in roughly the same positions. So like it creates this live scenario where you all have like a goal, and you're trying to make up a way to get there. So like it forces the jazz and the jiu-jitsu, forces people out of their comfort zone. You can't. So like it's fun. I want to add an additional twist to it though, where
knives
every time. Oh, that would be crazy. That's a different twist.
Okay.
Every time if you hit your move and your partner doesn't, you get to take their move.
Oh,
and you get to collect more moves. They'll draw a new one. I have enough that they should be able to do it, but then you can collect moves.
Oh, that's kind of
so awesome. Now you have multiple moves that you can try to do.
I got an incentive.
So like, this is like 2.0. I want people to be battling it out. I have to see if I have enough cards by the end of this.
You can always get more cards.
I'll know on Tuesday. I might have to make more.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I think that would be fun.
That is fun.
I think that's a fun way to like get creative in your roles, and like, I don't know, it forces it. Yeah, we're forcing you to have fun in the role versus like just doing the same thing over and over again.
And I like it. And it's still jiu-jitsu, goddammit. Yeah. Hell yeah.
We're forcing the jazz.
Have fun.
But yeah, like so that's kind of like an example of one of those fun roles. I like that other 50%. So but on another note on the self-expression thing, right? Like I was having this conversation with Jason of like, because we were doing our review, like reviewing the season and stuff, and like, we were talking about stuff, but like one of the things he talked about was like, yeah, like you have you like to scramble, and that can either be good or bad, but you don't have to stop doing scrambling because that's how you express jiu-jitsu. Like that, like being mobile and active is your self-expression. Like, so there's those little, it's kind of, it can also be how you find what your game is and like a game you enjoy playing, because you can have these moments within, like your jazz moments and all of that, but like you also want to have fun doing it. Like, and so that's kind of where the self-expression comes in the ways that you put jujitsu into the world, right? Like how you put it out there is, I mean, it's important because we're doing this. Yeah, it's a sport. We do it competitively. Like we take it seriously, but at the same time, like, and this could be another topic for another day, but like sometimes the sport takes itself way too seriously, and you should have fun out there. Like it's not like we're getting paid millions of dollars to go roll. Like at that point,
that'd be pretty fun, but
at that point we'll take it only seriously.
Sure.
But like you should have fun with it. Like you should enjoy what you're doing, not just like, oh, well, I need to only do the things that work because otherwise I'm going to lose them. I'm not going to get my medal at the end of the day. It's like, well, I mean, yes, but no, dude. Like you still need to do your jujitsu. Go out there and like do the stuff you do. Don't have to like emulate someone else because you think that's what'll win the medals. So, express yourself in the words of that musical artist. I don't have my phone. I can't look it up. But
don't worry about it.
Express yourself.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you said it well, man. I feel like what you're doing as a coach when you like bring people in, you try to like impose ideas on them is really just meant to get an individual to a point where they like, as you said, do it their way.
Yeah.
Like basically you expose them to enough information and time. You put the two together, and then eventually these guys will get the understanding, and then they'll have their own game. It's like figure out how you can and should do jiu-jitsu, and you will. It just takes time.
Yeah, you're giving
consistency.
You're giving them the information that they need to then, translate it to whatever works for them, right? Like,
I told this to Andrea recently. When she got her brown belt, even though it was true before that, but I was like, look, you're a brown belt now. Like, I think you officially know jiu-jitsu. So like you're like qualified to like vote / weigh in on like how things should play out. Like you're educated enough on this. Like you're experienced enough to know. Granted, like we still ask questions, still work on things together if you feel like you don't have answers, but like you know shit. You know plenty. So hey, like what do you think? Like this is like you don't like this is. I'm not like talking to a white or a blue belt who I feel like doesn't really have the data yet to make an informed opinion on things. Like your opinion is informed, man.
Yeah,
we're now working together on this.
You've earned the right of self-assessment.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
You have the background knowledge.
Yeah, and you've put in the time, and you've proven it, and the data is out there that you can do that. You've demonstrated that. So, and like she competes obviously. It's not the only way to do this, but it's certainly a really good way to, I think, accelerate that learning. That's really just an awareness and knowledge thing for when someone's like, hey, like, you're at that level now. Like, where like you've got your jiu-jitsu. Like, this is what I do when I show things. This is what works for me. Like, that's kind of like almost like the way I'll explain it differently to other folks. I explain it that way to like anybody, even white belts and blue belts. But, like you're at that point now where it's like, this is just because I do this a certain way doesn't mean you're going to do it like that. Like I'll demonstrate a thing, and like the way I do it will have some value insofar as like that other person here, Andrea, just using her as an example because she's different. She's different than me. Duh. Right?
What?
You're different than me. Oh, duh. But anyways, you get the idea. Like, hey, like I'm going to show this. Like, let's both do this thing, and I'm demoing it for a reason. I have like a thought process for the purpose of me saying what I'm saying. But when you hear it, like make this make sense for you, man. Because like that's the whole point. Like I don't need carbon copies of myself. I don't want carbon copies of myself. I'm barely handling myself on my own. So like I don't need like 15 more of me. Like here's what I'm doing. Take from this what you will. But like the whole point of me doing that is like, let's find the value for you. So yes, like individuality, like people when they practice long enough, like we want them to get to that point where like, shit, all right, cool. Like I've got my own little style here. That's what makes it awesome. That person gets that style. Then you listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
You get to be the student again.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, you get the idea of like what different people need, different body types, different whatever. And, I mean, I ran into this with teaching. I have half the class is people that are over 200 pounds. They have a vastly different.
You're not 200 pounds.
No, I'm not.
So what you're saying?
I know, like, it might look big.
You do look huge, bro.
But like, you have to do things differently, and like things I might get away with people that are my size, they can't get away with on people that are their size, because like it's vastly different when someone weighs 155 pounds versus when someone weighs 200 plus. Like you can't get away with certain, like, you can't carry weight the same way. And so like, yeah, I might be able to force it on people that are my size, but like if they go try to do it, it's not going to work the same way. And so like I've actually found out different ways to do techniques because I've had to adjust it for them, because, oh, like, look at this, it doesn't work. And they're like, well, show me on me. I'm like, well, one, it's a little bit different, but at the same time, it's like, okay, cool. Like, let me figure out how to move this post or whatever so that I can still do this sweep on you. And then if I can do it, it should work for you now,
right,
on someone your size, if someone my size can do it. So, I mean, like those different perspectives are super important too. Like, so yeah, I mean, we're starting to not ramble, but like,
okay, so
we're expanding this. We're expanding this.
We did it. Is what you said.
Yeah. So
that works. We did do it. We did it.
We did the thing. But thank you guys.
Yeah, we did it. Thank you.
We did. Thank you for listening.
And just like that, we're done.
And hard stop.
Hard fucking stop.
But no, so, thank you guys. We're getting back in the groove here.
We're grooving,
Fire's
man.
drinking
We're
coffee.
Grooving.
We would have had create 3 episodes worth of content if we just keep going. So we need to milk this. So, but thank you guys again for listening. We're gonna keep those promises to you that we made last week. And as always, like, follow, subscribe, hit that like button. That's cool. 5-star reviews are big. Comments are big too. I know I think I've been saying that like apparently comments and reviews, like anything you interact with the episode makes a big difference for bumping up the show in the algorithm. So keep that up. You guys are doing a good job. You're giving us the love. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Other little bits of housekeeping, drop in the Discord. And we said we're going to work on some cool stuff for you. It's coming. Don't worry. Stuff moves slow. So we'll get there. Don't worry. But as always, keep listening every Tuesday, 5 p.m.
AM.
Thank you. AM.
Either way.
Well, you can listen at 5 p.m. too. It'll drop at 5
a.m. 5 p.m. for sure.
Just listen on Tuesdays.
Yeah. If you subscribe, it doesn't even matter. It's gonna pop up on your phone.
That's why you should subscribe. It'll just be there. It'll be downloaded. Done. Easy. Make your life easy. Subscribe the first time.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so thank you guys. We love you. Bye.
See ya.